Hello and welcome to Freebooter's channel. I will be voicing the channel again today because Mr. Freebooter is twirling his toes in the sand while reading the new novel by Greg Palmer. It's a soft science fiction time travel novel, and it's mostly set in the times of the Egyptian pharaohs. It's a real page-turner. Stay with us to the end and we'll tell you more about it. So let's get this show on the road and talk about the new series called Silo. And let's talk about the amazing success story of the author Hugh Howey, who self-published his science fiction novel on Amazon. The book is called Wool and was a roaring success, selling over 250,000 copies to date. Apple has turned this gripping set of stories into a TV series called Silo. The novel is a post-apocalyptic science fiction story that takes place in the world of the Silo, a 144-floor underground community of humans, hundreds of years after an unknown event has caused the air above ground to become toxic. The story behind the publication of Wool is quite an interesting one. Initially, it was written as a short story back in 2011 and published directly on Amazon via their self-publishing platform by Howey himself. After the popularity grew, he continued to write sequels as novellas and then eventually sold these novels and the initial short story as one book called Wool. Howey sounds like a real character himself and spent 8 years captaining and delivering yachts for rich folk and sailing the world. The novel follows the story of Holston, a sheriff of the underground silo bunker who is awaiting his execution. The silo shelters its residents from the Earth's toxic surface, which they view through a projection on a single, gigantic, blurred screen in their cafeteria. The residents of the silo are forbidden to express their desire to go out of the silo, and if they do, they are punished by cleaning, which is a death sentence. The cleaners wear suits designed by the IT department that allow them to stay alive long enough to clean the cameras that show the outside wasteland to the residents inside. Eventually, each cleaner succumbs to the toxic gases. The novel also follows the story of Juliet, who attempts to discover more about the world in which she lives. Juliet is a mechanic who is tasked with repairing the silo's machinery. She is curious about the world outside the silo and begins to question the reasons behind the strict rules that govern the silo's inhabitants. As Juliet delves deeper into the mysteries of the silo, she uncovers secrets that threaten to destroy the delicate balance of the underground refuge. The novel explores themes of oppression, subjugation, and the search for truth. The plot is revealed gradually, and the ensemble of characters faces multiple losses along the way. The novel ends with a clear direction to move in the next book, Shift. Wool has received critical acclaim and has been described as a must-read by many fans. So, now let's talk about the TV series by Apple TV+. The show is set in a post-apocalyptic world where the last few thousand people left alive on Earth are confined in a massive underground bunker known as the Silo. The bunker is a multi-level, self-sustaining subterranean silo while they wait for the planet to recover from whatever mysterious toxic event rendered it uninhabitable. The show is a rich dystopian drama that is absolutely thrilling and builds its world meticulously. The world is almost entirely underground, and the set designers and CGI wizards have had a field day crafting an environment whose futuristic bones are now only just visible beneath shrouds of grime and the junk that is bound to accumulate in a sealed human vault over centuries. One of the many things we love about this show is that it embraces episodic structure, a lost art in the era of my season, is more like a chopped-up movie, and these episodes play out like chapters in a book. The stunning premiere sets the stage in a way that doesn't even center on the eventual protagonist of this show. Silo trusts its viewers with complex themes, multiple arcs, and a shifting narrative that forces us to trust the creators too. It's great stuff. The premiere introduces the concept just over 10,000 people live in a massive underground bunker known as the Silo. History has been destroyed to such a degree that the residents aren't sure how their ancestors got there or what happened to the outside world. All they know is that it's deadly outside. They can see it. Or can they? Allison, Rashida Jones, starts to hear whispers that the powers that be in the silo are lying to its residents to keep them under control. She's scared to share these beliefs with her husband, who happens to be the sheriff, because the silo is a place where dissent and disagreement can be punished. And there's one immutable rule: don't ask to leave. Anyone who asks to leave must be allowed to do so, and no one has ever returned. Into this unique setup, Silo drops many other interesting characters before centering on Juliet, played by Rebecca Ferguson, a different protagonist than that of the premiere. Juliet works on the mechanical floors at the bottom of the silo. They are the people who keep everything running. The writers smartly avoid a direct class system on the floors, but there's a different energy in her sphere. Juliet gets involved with the lawman when he investigates a mysterious suicide, and she eventually takes over the lead before even weirder things happen in the silo. Can she trust the judicial department, run by an imposing figure named Sims? And let's not forget the creepy tech overseer played by Tim Robbins, who punishes people for posting the wrong information online. Silo is a remarkably confident show that refuses to hold your hand. In many ways, we are as lost and confused as the characters. We are dropped into the silo with them, unpacking its purpose, history, regulations, and impact. Yost and his team absolutely nail this complex writing. It's thrilling to see something this confidently plotted, always a step ahead of the viewer, but not far enough down the narrative path that we don't want to see what's around the next corner. Of course, like a lot of sci-fi fiction, Silo has a great deal to say about the society of the people who are watching it too. It doesn't feel coincidental to watch a show about a society that's essentially impacted by a lockdown in the 2020s. And themes of control over women's bodies and control over what history we can be taught have parallels in the real world in 2023, of course. Who gets to decide what history matters? Who determines the value of knowledge? There will likely be fantastic readings of Silo from a religious angle, the Silo being this plane of existence, with its divided narratives of how we got here in the first place, and outside being the great beyond that some believe comes when we leave it. Inspired by the writing and involvement of Yost, Silo attracted a great cast that includes a few familiar faces like Ian Glenn, Harriet Walter, and Will Patton, all excellent. But the show belongs to Ferguson, who is very easy on the eye. She imbues Juliet with just the right blend of skepticism and intelligence. She's the Ripley of this Alien 3 enclosure. She is someone who has been burned before, but realizes she may be needed in this current time of crisis. It's another engaging, magnetic performance from a great actress. The abundance of characters and ideas in Silo can be a bit of a drawback. Over the first half of the first season, we almost wanted it to slow down, to explain more of what's happening in the Silo and how these power dynamics have been formed over generations. Of course, this momentum is intentional and often beneficial, but it's such a rich show that we found ourselves wanting to live in its world more than just trying to keep up with its plotting. Still, it's a minor complaint for a major show, one of the best of 2023 so far. Here are some more reasons why we think Silo is worth watching. The world building is meticulous. The show takes place almost entirely underground, and the set designers and CGI wizards have done an incredible job of crafting an environment that feels both futuristic and lived in. The silo is a multi-level, self-sustaining, subterranean haven, and the attention to detail is impressive. From the hydroponic farms to the medical centers, every section of the silo is rendered with care and precision. The performances are excellent. The show boasts a great cast, including Ian Glenn, Harriet Walter, and Will Patton. But it's Rebecca Ferguson who steals the show as Juliet. She imbues the character with just the right blend of skepticism and intelligence, and her performance is engaging and magnetic. The show invites viewers to reflect on our own world and the choices we make as individuals and as a society. It's a show that challenges you to think and question, while still delivering an exciting and thrilling narrative. It's a must-watch show. Silo is a major series that stands out as one of the best of 2023 so far. Its rich world building, compelling performances, relevant themes, and confident writing make it a must-watch for fans of sci-fi and dystopian dramas. Whether you're a fan of the genre or not, Silo is a show that will captivate and entertain you from start to finish. So, grab some popcorn and your favorite beverage, settle in on the sofa with your loved ones, and get ready to be immersed in the gripping world of Silo. It's a show that will leave you wanting more and eagerly awaiting the next season. Don't miss out on this thrilling and thought-provoking series. Okay, well, that's a wrap for today. Now let me tell you about the new novel by the writer Greg Palmer. A university historian is forced to plunder high-value treasures of the past using a billionaire's secret prototype time-tunneling technology and must battle a psychopath back in deep time, as well as technological screw-ups and the universe itself. Edward Henson is at the peak of his academic career when he and his wife Katie are left critically injured by a car crash during a blizzard. A mysterious figure appears at the historian's hospital bedside and offers him a Faustian bargain, full health aided by cutting-edge chip implants, upgrading his brain with all the knowledge of mankind, or the bleak alternative, voluntary euthanasia. But if Henson accepts the deal, he must break with all of his academic ethics and travel back in time to steal the treasures of the past for his rich patron, Dominic LeBlanc, a man who has almost everything money could ever buy. Meanwhile, Katie Henson is the millionaire's spare, but she escapes her patron's control and has plans of her own. Amazingly, the story was planned and mapped out 3 years before the advent of the current AI revolution. Infinity is a fast-moving tale of love, betrayal, loss, and revenge, grounded on the latest academic research on the nature of space-time and time travel. Treat yourself to a fascinating, light read, which will remain with you long after you have finished the last chapter. The Amazon link for the book is in the comments and the description. Thank you for visiting with us today. If you enjoyed the journey, then share it with your friends. Like and subscribe, and please leave a comment below. Tell us about your enjoyment of the original book or the series itself. Commenting will really help this fledgling channel with the YouTube algorithm, so it reaches a wider audience. Well, hopefully we'll see you all again soon.